Well, hello there, young'uns.
Hi, Mr. Clementine.
Brian, is everything okay? It seems like something is troubling you.
I just had a bad day at school.
Brian got in trouble today for throwing rocks at recess. He almost hit a girl with one of them.
Jessica! I didn't want Mr. Clementine to know.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brian. I guess I shouldn't have said anything.
It's okay.
Throwing rocks? Why were you throwing rocks, Brian?
I don't really know. I was just bored and saw some rocks on the ground, and then I got this urge to see how far I could throw them. Then, a girl named Sarah came out of nowhere and ran into the area where I was throwing the rocks. I didn't see her and almost hit her with a rock. She got really mad and told the teacher on me.
Why were you throwing rocks across the field where kids often play? You could have seriously hurt someone.
I wasn't thinking, I guess. I was just curious to see how far I could throw some rocks. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I didn't know Sarah would suddenly run over there.
What did your teacher do?
Well, Mrs. Kingsley got mad and told me it's never safe to throw rocks anywhere near people. The risk's too high that someone will get hurt. The rule is that you can't throw rocks at school.
Sounds like a good rule. What do you think, Brian?
I agree. But if I would have known the rule, I wouldn't have thrown the rocks.
Yes, rules can keep us safe. It's our job, though, to know the rules. As the saying goes, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Do you get disciplined?
Yeah. I had to miss recess and pick up rocks in the field and put them in a bag. I wasn't allowed to play or talk to anyone, just pick up rocks.
Seems fair. Did Mrs. Kingsley ask you to reflect on your behavior?
Yeah, she told me to think about what I did and everything that could have gone wrong, including hitting Sarah.
And did that help?
I think so. I'm afraid I might do something dumb like that again, though.
Well, sometimes there are unintended consequences for our actions. There's an old English proverb that my mother used to say to me, "Look before you leap."
What does that mean?
Well, let's look at the saying literally. If you were to jump into a pond without knowing what was in it, can you see what bad things might happen?
Well, sure. There might be sharp rocks in the pond, or maybe even an alligator.
That's true. So, if you just take a few minutes before you do something just to think about, or even picture in your mind, the possible consequences, you're more likely to prevent something bad from happening.
Yeah, I wish I would have done that. So that's what happened today at school. I feel really guilty about it.
Well, that's because you're a good person, Brian. I agree with your teacher. You need to learn to think before you act. But I also want you to know that you're not the only boy to ever throw a rock when you shouldn't have.
Really? Who else did?
I did. When I was a boy, about your age, I was in my grandma's yard and got annoyed by a bee that was buzzing around my head. I thought I could hit it with a rock.
Did you hit the bee?
Not by a long shot. I missed and hit my grandmother's window instead.
Oh no! Did it break the window?
It sure did. There was a big jagged hole in it.
Did you get in trouble?
You better believe it. My grandma was strict. She was also poor, so she didn't have the money to fix it.
Well, then what did you do?
I had to pay for it out of my paper route money. I didn't have all the money necessary, so I had to do some odd jobs for my dad to make up the rest. It took me all summer to pay it off.
Wow, my punishment was easy compared to that.
Well, I don't really see it as punishment. It's discipline, because it's teaching you a better way to be. If it's not somewhat painful, you don't really learn as much. I learned a valuable lesson, though, about thinking before I act.
I've learned that too, Mr. Clementine. I want to think about all the possible consequences of doing something before I do it. I want to look before I leap.
Yeah, me too. I've learned 2 valuable lessons just by listening to both your stories.
Yep, life is full of lessons. Thinking before you act will save you a lot of trouble and keep you from hurting yourself and others. Basically, it allows you to make good decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Clementine. You've helped me understand how important it is to think before I act.